Hey there, homeschooling families. Welcome back to Homeschooling for the Whole Family. I'm a homeschooling father of a large family with a background in education and over 16 years of homeschooling experience. If you've ever read a book about a cat in a hat, a Sneetch with a star, or a grumpy Grinch who tried to steal Christmas, then you've already met one of the most famous children authors of all times, Dr. Seuss. But who was Dr. Seuss, really? What made his book so special? And what lessons can we learn from the wacky, whimsical worlds that he created? Stick around, because today we're diving into the Seuss-static story behind the man who made rhymes fun for kids of all ages. All right, let's start with the basics. Dr. Seuss was actually not a doctor. Shocking, right? His real name was Theodore Seuss Geisel, and he was born on March 2nd, 1904, in Springfield, Massachusetts. Now here's a fun fact. The Seuss in his name, that's actually his middle name, and he pronounced it Seuss, like voice, though most people today say Seuss, and that's okay too. As a kid, Theodore loved drawing and writing. He grew up in a family that ran a brewery, but when Prohibition hit, the family business had to close. Even though times were tough, young Theodore stayed creative. He doodled all the time and loved making up funny stories. So, how did Theodore Geisel become Dr. Seuss? Well, after college, he started working in advertising. He created ads with quirky characters and catchy slogans, kind of like mini Dr. Seuss books. During World War II, he made political cartoons and even helped create training films for soldiers. But his big break came when he started writing children's books. His first book, And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, was published in 1937 after being rejected by 27 publishers. That's right, 27 publishers said no before one finally said yes. Can you imagine? Talk about persistence. Okay, here's what makes Dr. Seuss books so magical. First, let's talk about the rhymes. Dr. Seuss was a master of rhymes. His words are bouncy and fun to read aloud, like a musical poem that gets stuck in your head in the best way possible. Then there are his illustrations. His characters are so unique. Think Grinches, Loraxes, and Horton the elephant. His worlds are colorful, weird, and wonderful, which makes them so exciting for kids. But Dr. Seuss's stories weren't just fun. They also had important messages. The Lorax teaches us to care for the environment. Horton, Here's a Who, reminds us that every voice matters, no matter how small. And the Sneetches shows us how silly it is to judge others based on their differences. Pretty cool, right? Dr. Seuss had a way of teaching big lessons through silly, memorable stories. Here's something really amazing about Dr. Seuss. His books didn't just entertain kids, they helped them learn to read. Back in the 1950s, Dr. Seuss was asked to write a book using only 236 simple words. Why? Because educators wanted a book that would help kids practice basic reading skills while still being fun. And what book did Dr. Seuss create? The Cat in the Hat. It was a huge hit and showed that kids' books didn't have to be boring. Later he wrote Green Eggs and Ham, using just 50 words. Can you imagine writing a whole book with only 50 words? That's talent. Now it's time for some Seuss-tacular fun facts. Dr. Seuss wrote over 60 books. He won a Pulitzer Prize, which is a huge deal in the world of writing. His birthday, March 2nd, is celebrated as Read Across America Day. Dr. Seuss created the word nerd. Yep, the first time anyone saw the word nerd in print was in his book, If I Ran the Zoo. How cool is that? Let me know in the comments below which fact surprised you the most. Even though Dr. Seuss passed away in 1991, his legacy lives on. His books are still loved by kids and adults around the world. Movies, TV shows, and even musicals have brought his characters to life. And while some of his earlier works have sparked important conversations about representation and stereotypes, they also remind us to continue growing and learning. Dr. Seuss's work teaches us that imagination, kindness, and persistence can make the world a better place. Want to bring some Dr. Seuss fun into your homeschool? Here are a few activities that you can try. Rhyme time. Challenge your family to come up with silly rhymes just like Dr. Seuss. Create your own Seuss character. Draw a wacky creature and give it a fun name. Try green eggs and ham. Cook up some green eggs and ham for breakfast and see who's brave enough to try it. Read aloud. Take turns reading your favorite Dr. Seuss books as a family. Let your imagination just run wild. Well, thanks for joining me on this Seuss-static adventure. If you love learning about Dr. Seuss, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. And here's your question of the day. What's your favorite Dr. Seuss book? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep reading, keep rhyming, and never stop learning. Bye for now, everyone.